NBAZach Buckley added Zach Buckley NBA National NBA featured columnist March 22, 2019 Chuck Burton, Associated Press. The NCAA men's basketball tournament isn't always a stepping stone to NBA stardom. Some collegiate stars never take off in the association. Some don't even reach it, but every once in a while, the pieces all fall into place for the March Madness darlings of today to become the NBA's hardwood heroes of tomorrow. We can't tell you who might rise to prominence this year, or if anyone will at all. We can, however, look back at some of the NBA's biggest stars who can thank their NCAA tournament runs for boosting their draft stocks and laying the groundwork for their ascensions. Their respective runs are ranked in ascending order by their impact on these players' NBA stocks. Carmelo Anthony, Syracuse. Anthony isn't a star anymore, and we're not sure he'll even be an NBA player again. But since he hasn't walked away just yet, it still feels appropriate to spotlight his incredible run to the 2003 National Championship. Anthony dominated the tournament, and his play kept picking up the deeper the Orange advanced. He double-doubled in each of their final 3 wins and followed a 33-point, 14-rebound effort against Texas in the Final Four with a 20-point, 10-rebound, 7-assist masterpiece to beat Kansas in the title game. Dwayne Wade, Mark if we're throwing it back to 2003 for Anthony, why not extend the favor to another Banana Boat crew member? Wade got 2 cracks at the tournament, and he never disappointed. His one-game freshman cameo in 2002 featured 18 points on 13 shots to go along with 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals and 2 blocks. The next year, he embarked on a 5-game trip highlighted by a 24-point, 8-rebound, 7-assist gem in the second round and a win over top-seeded Kentucky in which he recorded a triple-double with 29 points, 11 boards, 11 dimes, 4 blocks and a steal. Derrick Rose, Memphis. Did Rose need his 2008 tourney heroics to become that year's first overall pick? That's hard to say, but he certainly didn't hurt his stock by leading Memphis to the national championship game. Over those 6 outings, the explosive lead guard averaged 20.8 points, 6.5 rebound and 6.0 assists on 51.8% shooting from the field. Once the 2009 tournament rolled around, Blake Griffin may have been running unopposed for top billing in the upcoming NBA draft. If anyone remained on the fence, he converted them over 4 showcases of basketball brilliance. His worst game that March probably came in the Elite 8. He still had 23 points and 16 rebounds on 9 of 12 shooting against top-seeded and eventual champion North Carolina, which swarmed him with multiple defenders early and often. It's worth repeating, that was the low point. There's nothing that concerns me more than Blake, UNC coach Roy Williams told reporters before that clash. He's a guy that can get 40 points and 20 rebounds. There's not many of those guys around very often. Griffin didn't quite hit those marks in the previous rounds, but he came close. After opening the big dance with 28 points and 13 boards in just 31 minutes of action against Morgan State, he delivered 33 points, 17 rebounds and 3 assists during the second-round victory over Michigan. When his Sooners bowed out after 4 contests, his per-game averages stood at 28.5 points, 15.0 rebounds and 2.3 assists on 78.0% shooting. It seems impossible to fathom now, but Anthony Davis wasn't always a shoo-in for 2012's top pick. An inordinate number of 2011's top prospects opted to stay in school due to the NBA's impending lockout, and Davis's own teammate, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, had buzz just as big as the Browns. Davis spent most of the season separating from the pack. In his first collegiate outing, he had 23 points, 10 boards and 5 blocks in just 23 minutes against Marist. But even if he'd ascended to the No. 1 spot by March, his tournament trip helped lengthen the lead. His offensive averages weren't jaw-dropping, 13.7 points and 3.0 assists over his 6-game climb to the title. but considering 6 of his teammates would later suit up in the association, the Wildcats simply had too many mouths to feed for any one player to hog the spotlight. The defensive end told a different story. That's where he sewed up the tournament's Most Outstanding Player award, averaging 12.3 rebounds, 9.5 on the defensive end, and a face-melting 4.8 blocks. He may be the best player to ever play at Kentucky, former Wildcats coach Tubby Smith said, per ESPN's Myron Metcalf. Darren Cummings, Associated Press. Draymond Green spent 4 seasons at Michigan State. Naturally, he lived in the NCAA tournament. The Spartans danced all 4 years, twice reaching the Final Four and once advancing to the championship game. As Golden State Warriors general manager Bob Myers later relayed, Green's winning background is part of what drew the Dubs to him with the No. 35 pick of the 2012 NBA draft. To hear Green tell it, even that fails to capture the significance of his March Madness experience. In 2009, the then freshman was still getting his feet wet. He sat more than he played and barely impacted the box score. But by the Elite Eight, he had worked his way deeper into the rotation and drew the defensive assignment of Louisville forward Earl Clark, who'd be selected at No. 14 just a few months later. That's when Green realized he'd have his own NBA future. Every great player has that moment when he realizes, I can play at this level, Green wrote for the Players Tribune. Quote, "My moment, when I realized the pressure was never too great and I could keep up with the best in the game, came in that Elite Eight win over Louisville. Everything I've done since comes from the confidence I built during that run." By Green's senior season, he looked an awful lot like the version we see now. He averaged 17.7 points, 13.7 rebounds, 6.0 assists and 1.3 steals over 3 games at the 2012 tournament. Kemba Walker's first taste of March Madness was bittersweet. In 2009, his Huskies advanced all the way to the Final Four before falling to Draymond Green's Spartans. But Walker, then a freshman 6th man, only had so much to say about his squad's fate. Despite shooting a blistering 55.2% for the tournament, as a 6 feet 1 inch point guard, mind you, he averaged just 22.4 minutes and 5.8 shots. UConn missed the dance during Walker's sophomore season, but he seized complete ownership of the team as a junior and forever cemented his name in college basketball lore. It just took a ton of time to get started. The Huskies went 9-9 in Big East play and entered the conference tournament as a 9 seed. But once Walker began postseason play, he would not be denied. He powered UConn to 5 wins in 5 days at the Big East tournament while averaging 26.0 points, 6.4 rebounds, 4.2 assists and 2.8 assists. Then, he found the wine to do it all over again at the real tourney. He nearly triple-doubled against Buckley in the opener, 18 points, 12 assists, 8 rebounds, and he kept the pedal floored the rest of the way. His averages through 6 games landed at 23.5 points, 6.0 boards, 5.7 dimes and 1.5 steals, and the Huskies captured their 3rd national title. Kemba became special, then UConn head coach Jim Calhoun said, per Boston.com's Nicole Yang. Chuck Burton, Associated Press. Other than having an NBA father, there wasn't an obvious reason to have Stephen Curry on your radar when he opened his career at Davidson. Even after he excelled throughout a freshman campaign that featured averages of 21.5 points and 3.6 three-pointers, a year capped by a 30-point performance in Davidson's round of 64 loss to Maryland, many weren't taking note. Then 2008 happened. The entire year was incredible, as Curry poured in 25.9 points per night, buried 162 triples at a 43.9% clip and sent several scares into Blue Bloods, 24 points in a 4-point loss to North Carolina and 20 in a 6-point defeat against Duke. Curry was a great college basketball story before the big dance. But once the baby-faced gunner with the bow uniform and lethal long-range stroke stepped onto that stage, he became a national phenomenon. Curry's 10th-seeded Wildcats bounced tournament regular Gonzaga in the opener as the scoring guard went 14 of 22 from the field and 8 of 10 from distance en route to 40 points. He followed with a 30 spot against second-seeded Georgetown, converting another 5 triples and 9 of his 10 free-throw attempts. Next up was third-seeded Wisconsin, which Curry helped dispatch with 33 points, 6 triples, 4 assists, and 4 steals. Top-seeded Kansas, Davidson's Elite Eight opponent, proved too tough a test. But only barely. The Jayhawks were crowned champions 2 rounds later, but they first had to scratch out a 59-57 win as Curry added another 25 points and 4 triples to his tournament tally. His final averages came in at 32.0 points, 5.8 threes and 3.3 steals while he shot 46.7% from the field and 44.2% from outside. But maybe the most surprising part is that Curry didn't bounce to the NBA immediately after, instead opting for another year at Davidson and telling reporters, "I don't think I'm ready." Davidson didn't make the tournament in Curry's final year, but his March Madness, March Magic, really, story had already been scripted and foreshadowed what's becoming one of the most decorated careers in NBA history. Statistics used courtesy of sports reference. Zach Buckley covers the NBA for Bleacher Report. Follow him on Twitter, @ZachBuckleanba.